morning and welcome to Trading with Larry. It's Larry Benedict, joined by Eric Shamalov. Good morning, Eric. Back after another up Monday, the 100th up Monday. There's only been like 45 up Mondays, but they've been 50, only 45 Mondays, and they're 50 up Mondays. So they're more up Mondays. They already have them scheduled going out every Monday for the next 6 months. But market was up big, over 100 points, as you I'm going to use your thing over one standard deviation. So we had over one standard deviation move. Um, but there's a couple of things that are sitting top of mind for me today, and one is volatility. Why is volatility still 20 or right in that area? Why? What am I missing that this is a 20 vol when even overnight we had negative news on Nvidia that Meta isn't buying their chips. I think this is going to be followed by a lot more companies because the Nvidia chips are too expensive. People are making, you know, less expensive chips, and Google is selling them like hotcakes. So I think Nvidia may have a little bit more trouble, but I happen to be up overnight, and S&Ps were cratering into the abyss. They were down, about 20% of the move yesterday, and I come in this morning, and the S&P futures are somehow higher, and I feel like the same culprits that have been doing this type of trade are back in the market and once again have the ability to, I'm not going to use the word rig because I use it a lot, manipulate the market to their liking, where you have Nvidia down on a percentage basis and a weighting basis basically as much as Google is up to the T. And around that, they're buying S&P, they're going to leave the Dow, they'll buy NASDAQ, and then later they'll buy, they're back. And I'm shocked they're back at a 20 vol. And, maybe, I don't know where you saw vol get to last week when we were actually coming in. Maybe it got to 26 or 25. It's off from there, but it's still relatively high relative to what's going on. We're right back to 6,700 on the futures, and whatnot. We'll have to, we'll have to see how all of that plays out moving forward. So I'll throw it to you. Give us some thoughts.
Yeah, you said it. The market feels like it's back. I think the big thing yesterday was somehow the rate cut is right back on the table for December, and I think the market is quite happy with that. And you always say, "What's a quarter point
No,
rate cut?"
I don't see a rate cut, and I also see something that you're not watching. Basically, Besant was on CNBC this morning. I love when they have these guys come on, rolling them onto CNBC. You know what Besant actually said? They want to roll off the balance sheet. Okay, they're not. That's their goal next year is to reduce. Like you're talking this trade that they're gonna, you know, lend money and increase the balance sheet. He's fully against that, just so you know. And he came out today and basically said, their goal is to reduce the balance sheet. They're worried about the balance sheet because eventually they're gonna have to take on a lot more debt here. Whether it's the tariffs aren't working or there aren't as many. It's just funny to me. It just seems like the market it comes up with these little things that are not little but big, and then the market focuses on it for maybe like this last one was a week. We'll take a week. A week of good trading is amazing. So we got a week of good trading last week, but they're focused. Oh, okay, on basically rolling down the balance sheet, but overall I just don't see I just don't see what's going on here. I'm literally not getting it. Like the price action has changed the mantra and the feeling, right? I mean, don't you feel it's a little bit different than a week ago?
Yeah, I
You know,
think I think they're emboldened again.
They're buying every dip. It took one day, and now they'll buy the dip. Buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. But I think things out there look rather interesting. Oil is getting closer to my level. Um, you know, it's very funny. I'm watching this series on TV, which I highly recommend. It's called Landman. I don't know if you've watched it, but it's spectacular. But anyway, it's about, basically the oil business and drilling and whatever. And they somehow in this fictitious series have oil at $80 a barrel. And they're like, we need oil at $75 a barrel to be profitable. Well, at $57, you know, they're these drillers and whatever. I mean, it's very hard to seek profitability with low oil prices. So it's interesting to look at where crude is right now. And I think I'm not saying load up the camper, but I don't think it's a bad level to be long crude. um, so I'm looking at crude. um, Market's very, very interesting. A minute ago, S&Ps were higher. Now they're slightly lower, and today is a buy Dow day and sell Nasdaq day. You can kind of see it out of the gate. The Dow's up 50, and the Nasdaq is down 50. A minute ago, Nasdaq was flat. So I guess the Nvidia probably has a lot more to fall, don't you think? You like it here?
Uh, I don't. I haven't traded in a few months. I'll be honest with you. You know, I'm just seeing things in other sectors. I'm just going to let the AI trade kind of play out into the end of the year. Next year should be interesting, but I don't think chips are going to be the kind of the action center for next year.
No. What is it going to be? Infrastructure build out?
I think it's going to start to focus on companies that are actually going to be using this AI to improve their operations. So that's why I'm looking at like healthcare. I'm looking at biotech. Trying to find some plays there for next year. But I mean, AI is going to be a trade, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a focus as it was this year.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I just can tell you that, like, I think of AI and, like, I just think it pops into my head this Chat GBT, and it's just so horrendous that, I mean, it's so levels. I've been saying it on every podcast. You're disagreeing with me, which is par for the course, but it kind of makes me feel better. That Google generated AI, and everything that Google is doing in AI is levels above ChatGPT. And that's why if you look at Google stock, it's the best performing stock of the Mag 7. It's a monster, and it's up again today. And now Google is selling chips at a much more, you know, reasonable price, and they're getting everybody to buy these chips. So I just I don't know, like AI. It's actually scary. I hope no one really sees it on that's watching us, but I have some generated AI videos out there that somehow one came to me yesterday, and I don't know. It's good, but it ain't that good. You know what I'm saying? You still need me to do the video. It's way better. But you know, that's you know, that's what I'm seeing um, with that. And I think really the thing that we should look at going into next year is, Meta's rallying today because, they're believing, hey, they got cheaper chips, they're running more efficient, and now they can maybe seek more profitability, not getting stuck buying these ridiculously expensive Nvidia chips. And I think Nvidia is in trouble. I mean, I think they're in trouble. I think Oracle is going to go all these companies are going to go the same direction. And then what's going to happen to that's why I think Jensen is pushing Trump. I don't know why Jensen has Trump's ear so much. I mean, I don't maybe his kids told him Nvidia is a great company or whatever, because Trump doesn't. know anything about that stuff. And he's like chasing this guy down like he's a rock star. Um, but Jensen actually right now, Eric, needs to sell chips into China. If he doesn't sell chips into China, they're going to have a massive issue because who's their buyer? How many buyers do they actually have that are real? I'm not talking like little startup AI, but real AI. It's like 5 to 10 buyers, right? And those 5 to 10 buyers, Oracle told you straight out they can't make money because the Nvidia, Blackwell chips are too expensive. Now Meta shifted and isn't buying any Nvidia chips or not any new Nvidia chips. So doesn't that scare you a little bit for Nvidia?
Yeah, we've had this all year, the back and forth with China, and what Nvidia will or will not do, what they will or will not sell. I just feel like it's a bargaining chip. I know Jensen really wants to uh, get the green light, and he, like every tech CEO, he's like, "It's going to make the world a better place if you let us sell." I disagree. I think that whatever edge the U.S. has left on China, like that's it. That's pretty much the Blackwell's chip, and I would not think it's a good idea to sell it to them.
I mean, listen, Nvidia, looking at the stock itself, is trading at 173. This is the low end after earnings plus. If it gets into the 60 handle, which I expect that to happen, it may even happen in the next hour because this news is extremely negative. I mean, it's probably one of the worst pieces of news the company could have, right? I mean, you know, you got a top probably five, actually, it's probably a top 10 stock market cap, Meta. And now they're not buying the chips. That's a little scary, no? So I think they need
Here,
China. What?
Nvidia's here at 174. What are you thinking?
Lower. I'm thinking lower. I'm not touching it at these levels. I think they got a lot more problems than people understand. And I think Jensen, by him pushing Trump and pushing Trump. Like, why should he care if China's buying his chips? I mean, literally, like it shouldn't even be in his program of what he's thinking. Nvidia should not, okay, be selling, high powered chips into China. It just shouldn't. They shouldn't. It's not healthy for China and it's not healthy for us. But he needs that now because he's sitting. I think of it like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Like, like you ever see the movie and you go in and there's like candy all over the floor. Like you go into Nvidia, they have mass produced these chips to sell at record levels, and maybe it's not happening, and they're sitting with chips all over the place. And it reminds me a little of Micron Technology. What ended up happening with Micron, it was obviously Nvidia's market cap dwarfs it times 100 but it was a different time. It was in the 90s. And Nvidia, I mean, Micron had chips, so many chips, they had to discount their chips for massive losses. People were buying chips for like 10 cents on the dollar. So I'm not saying we're even close to that, but you know, who knows what's going to happen? But I think it's bigger news than people think, and it's an amazing thing to me. I know, they're buying the computers, buying Google as much up as Nvidia is down. That's why the market's not cratering. But it's a little bit. I mean, I find it a little bit scary here. Just you know, just speaking frankly, I find it a little bit scary. So, we'll see. We'll see how everything plays out today. It's going to be an interesting one. I think we're going to quiet down a little bit into Wednesday, which is the day before Thanksgiving. That used to be, I'm assuming it's a full day. Used to sometimes be a half day or whatever. Or no, I think, oh no, Friday's the half day. I'm sorry. So Friday's the half day, and we're sitting. I just don't know what to. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know what to think. I'm gonna I'm gonna leave that to you. So I'm gonna, since you're hot yesterday, you were buying yesterday. Um, you caught the move. I'm gonna leave it to you today to see if you can double up and tell people, you know, what market you're looking at, what trades you're looking at, and then I'll come back over the top.
Well, we'll start with the S&P. We got a 35-point straddle here. You mentioned the news on Nvidia, Google up, Nvidia down. So we've seen these before. The After a big up move, when we had a pretty big up move yesterday, typically I've noticed a lot of consolidation after a big move. It could, sometimes it's a 1 day thing. So I don't think today we're going to have much follow through to the upside. I think the market will try. Um, so for now, I'm kind of thinking Iron Condor Day. I mean, that could change as
Ah,
the as
ha, 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 ha. Okay, doggy. All right, you're going to the well one too many times. It's why yesterday the straddle was $55, by the way. Okay, and
yeah.
it didn't hit really. So I don't know. 35 seems really low. It may pay off today. It may pay off. Um, but that's not a lot of money compared to what we've seen over the last 2 weeks, right? I mean, straddles have been anywhere from 50 to almost 70.
Yeah,
I
you
don't.
got to keep that. You're not really getting paid for that risk as you were yesterday. But the way that I put them on, I don't just put them on right at the open. Kind of let the market settle in. My favorite time to put on an iron condor is like right after a big move in either direction, where I think, okay, that was pretty much the day, right? Then you kind of put it on if it's early enough to get premium. So
I don't.
that's a
You know what? I do it very different. I think there's a lot. You know what? Here's how I look at it, and I've been doing it a long time. So I'm just going to interject what I see over the last 40 years of my career, kind of doing this kind of stuff. I think the best premiums are within the first 15 minutes of the opening. You got to put
yeah.
this trade on within 10 to 15 minutes. Um, Premiums are higher. And then I actually believe, and I think you don't do this, but I could be wrong. You can tell everybody. I like to stay to the very end because I think the biggest decay on options happens in the last 30 minutes of trading of the day. If you're doing zero DTE options, they literally implode. They're either 100 delta or zero. They move very quickly, um, but it's where you see the most decay. So I like to put it on, for me, I like to put that trade on early. I usually don't do an iron condor, which for people that are watching for the first time or haven't heard us talk about it, is basically selling an out of the money call spread and an out of the money put spread on an index. You could do it on an equity, but we do these on zero DTE, on QQQ, SPY, SPX, NDX. Very many. You know, Equity indices, and I think you can stay and make the most money by staying to the end. I mean that's what I like to do. I see a lot of decay in the last trading hour. I mean, I probably have done, I would say, millions and millions and millions of contracts. I would say millions and millions. And I would say I probably do millions and millions a year, every year, of this type of trade. But I don't do the iron condor. I pick a direction to start. I don't like the iron condor. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it because it doesn't give you a directional bias. So when you put this trade on, Eric, you don't have a directional bias. Okay.
Well,
You
that is a directional bias, not having a directional. I always look at the market like it has three options: up, down, or nothing. So, you know,
okay?
you,
Okay.
That's a bias too. That the market won't do much is a bias. That is a trade.
Well, I would say this, the market always does something. So I would say if you're selling a $31 Condor today, you are going to be down money. I'm telling you, you're going to be going. I'm not saying you're going to lose money on the day, but at some point, something is going to go a little sideways and you're going to have to, even yesterday you were
Yeah.
calling me and you were freaking out. So the bottom line is that is, what happens when you do these things. And one thing as a professional trader, which is a little bit harder for retail or people learning, is you want to try to keep this thing balanced. So like if the call side is coming up through the money, you may want to take back your puts and roll to another put or sell another put or whatever. But, if you're fully managing this, I mean, that's stuff you have to do. So, like when I say to you, and I see you got a little mad when I said, you had to manage it and you were in a little trouble. It happens to everybody. I don't know
I
why.
think it had a call. I had to go back. I had to rewind, go back to yesterday, and yeah, you were right. You were absolutely right.
What do
You
you
got to
mean?
manage. If you put them on, unless the market is just flatlining, you gotta manage it.
It's a very
One
funny
side
thing.
of the is gonna get worthless, and you gotta see if you need to roll it down and get
Mhm.
more premium. Kind of whittle it down and whittle it down until the end of the day. Sometimes you could get a ton of premium if it just if it's truly an iron condor kind of day. But I mean, what are you seeing today? You see Google up 4%, Nvidia down 4%. Are
I
you looking
see.
for a bigger move than 35 points in either
No, I
direction?
I I think we could have that. I don't know if we will. I'm a little like I'm leery. I think maybe down a bit and then rally, try to rally at some point, but down a bit and we have to see. We have to see how it all plays out. Um, but right now, markets are flat. The iron condor. It's funny. If you really think the market's going to be flat, Eric, the better trade is to sell the straddle, right?
Well, I already have it on. I put on an iron condor for today at the close yesterday. So the
Mm-hmm.
market, I mean, S&P hasn't moved. It's like flat into the open. So
Mm-hmm.
that's an ideal scenario. I'm probably going to leave that on. There's still premium in that trade.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so but I'm just thinking yesterday, I feel like was everything, the market rallied that much because the rate cut is back on the table. So, I mean, the odds
Dude,
went from,
I love how confident you are that the rate cut is back on the table. Like I don't know. Did we let's listen? What did they do at the last meeting? Tell me what they did at the last meeting. They cut 25 basis points, right? Since the last meeting, the stock market is actually lower than higher. So what is the rate cut they're going to cut again have to do with the market going up or being bullish?
other things. So you don't think that the market wants a rate cut. And so you're saying yesterday's
I
rally had
don't
nothing to do
think I think the
with
market
it.
should be what? You asked me a
Is that what
question.
you're saying?
What?
Yeah.
So
Go
do you want
ahead.
me to answer it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I would always think the market wants a rate cut, but even if they get a rate cut of a quarter point, it's freaking irrelevant because I just showed you that they got a rate cut last time, and you came on before the last rate cut and said, "Oh, the market wants to rally because we got a rate cut, and we got a rate cut," and the market sold off. So I don't know if it's going to sell off. Maybe it's going to sell off because they're going to go, "Hey, we cut again, but we're done." Okay, and we're basically going to a neutral stance and we're going to wait to see what happens with inflation and other things. Now, why would that be bullish? I'm just
Okay.
trying to understand.
Hey,
Doesn't it matter
all right.
what they say?
All right, but for today, you think they're going to let go of all of yesterday's gains?
No, they're not letting go of all yesterday's gains for a while. That's 100 spool points. Okay, that. listen, I talked to a buddy before we got on the podcast. Doesn't matter what happens now. We're in a different air. We're breathing different air. We're in the 6700 air, not the 6580 air. Okay, which we were in the 6550 air last week. So we're breathing different air. And when you breathe different air up here, obviously everyone wants the market to go higher. So when it's higher, dude, we've talked about this. We gave the anatomy of what happened in Bitcoin. Okay, why Bitcoin can't rally? You know why Bitcoin can't rally? Because it's broken, dude. And it's going to take a long time to fix Bitcoin. You think it's like coming out of here and it's dancing and all these other things. It's broken. Do you understand the word broken?
Yeah,
Broken in half. It's
I
broken
get
in
it. I know you
and
got out of Bitcoin yesterday. That might have been a
no,
great
I have
move.
some straggling Bitcoin, which I'm pissed about, but what are you gonna do? But no, I would tell you straight out, Bitcoin has listen, I know you don't think so, and you think the OG is coming in and he's dancing and whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things in Bitcoin. There are massively bad longs in Bitcoin. I don't know how you don't see it. Okay. But that market is broken. So what I'm trying to equate that to is the S&P. The S&P was not broken. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't broken, but the market was in a little bit of a consolidation phase, correct? And looking like it was going lower, and somehow we had a 26 vol, which is other than one morning, the highest vol we had of the year last Thursday. So all of a sudden, a 100 spoo handle move changed the sentiment of everything. And now to get down 20 spoo handles is really hard. I mean, when would you see Nvidia? I know, Meta's moving up as much as Nvidia is moving down on a weighted average, but Nvidia is down 850, not upticking, and probably will be down over 10 at some point today and may trade into the 160 handle. Okay. So I don't know, Eric. What I'm saying to you is I think what we talk about all the time is price equates to everything. And what I mean by that is right now everyone's dancing and they can buy all your reverend brothers and your OGs in S&P, they can buy again because the price is higher. If the price goes to 6500, do you know how many buyers of S&Ps there are? How many buyers do you think are at 6500? How about the number
You know
zero?
the
Zero. Okay? Zero. And that's why Bitcoin is in the problem that Bitcoin has. And you know what the problem is, Eric? It's not down like the S&P corrected 3.5%. That's nothing. Okay, that's what Bitcoin is almost down today. Okay, so that's nothing, right? But when S&P goes down 12, 15, you know who can buy S&P? Nobody. Same way in Bitcoin. Who can, let me ask you a question. Who do you think can buy Bitcoin right now? I'm being honest. Who do you think it is?
I don't know, but your customers are asking Larry, Bitcoin is broken. Should we get out of the IBIT trade?
No, just sit tight. That trade is out 3 months. So relax. Bitcoin will be back. It's just
You
broke
gotta
for the
explain
moment.
that one. Now you gotta explain that one.
What do you mean? You got to explain that one. We're long
You're
enough.
out of Bitcoin. You're in IBIT for three
I'm
months. You
not
thinking that
in.
in three
What are you
months we're
talking
going
about?
higher?
I never said, dude, you're now you this is the second time in this podcast that you're putting words into my mouth of what I didn't say. I said I am still long Bitcoin. I said I wish I sold out what I was trading for a trade. This trade is longer term. Okay. This trade is not about today. We have options out 3 months from today. So in 3 months from today, it could be over 100,000. That I'm not saying. I'm just saying on this rung, the trade is broken. And we're in right now what I call the broken phase of consolidation and liquidation. Okay. We saw, remember I said yesterday, the reason why I like Bitcoin. Let's see if you remember why I liked it. Do you remember why I liked it yesterday?
Yeah, everybody puked out of it. You got the Bloomberg
Exactly.
article. Mass.
It went from 8400 to 8100 in a shaking machine freak out. Okay? That was a liquidation. I like that trade. It gave us a pop back to 88 and a half. Okay. Now we're going back down to test those levels. I still think in 3 months, it could be way higher than today. So I still like that trade. There are different snippets of this trade. If you're day trading or scalping Bitcoin, that's a completely different animal than looking for a 2 month up move. So I think you have to look at this differently. And our location price is kind of right around here. So we got to wait to see how it plays out. But right now, I think more liquidation in this area. We'll see what it looks like when it gets back down to the low. If it happens to get back down to the low, I don't know if it will. So we'll keep an eye on that. And kind of that's what I'm looking at. In Bitcoin. So I would say for our subscribers that are in it, we're sitting in this trade. I like this trade. The only thing, I'm hoping that this consolidation and lower level gets put in the next week to 2 weeks, or less. But it was interesting. Yesterday, I kind of liked it, and I stayed long a little bit, and it just doesn't act. I mean, listen, it's only down 2%. It's not the biggest deal, but it doesn't act great, right? I mean, after yesterday, you figure you shook out the bad longs, but maybe we have more longs to shake out. But what I really want to talk about is what I call the anatomy of this trade. And it's really the first trade setup in a long time that's worked like this, where you can see. Dude, we talked about it every day, Eric. It was 128,000, then it was 125, then it was 120, then it was 115, then it was 110. It took like 4 months, right? Then it got to 105 and 100, and I'm sitting here every day with you. And what are we saying? Where the hell are the stops? Why are there no stops? Why is no one getting out? And no one got out, right? And they lost another 20%. So they lost the first 20%, and then they lost another 20%. So if you look at the high to low to Bitcoin, this is like the crash of 1987. I know no one's focused on that, but this is a big down move. Okay, I know it's Bitcoin and it does stuff like this, but you don't think this is a big down move?
It's a huge down move. I think a lot of people went silent on Bitcoin as it started to go down. All of the narratives broke down. Right, none of them were real. Um, I look when you called it out. You're like, I'm buying Bitcoin. I I saw the technical setup. I'm like, yeah, they puked out. I see that RSI oversold on the daily chart. I'm just thinking that RSI needs to kind of get back to 50, which is no man's land. And I'm thinking that adds another 5K on Bitcoin. But hopefully, I'm not sitting in that trade too long. You
Hmm. I mean, I honestly, I mean, I have feelings about Bitcoin over over a longer period that you won't be happy to hear. You know, I think I think on a longer term basis, what you're looking at to transact, like what is this? Is this actually transacting money? This is for the banking system, all this other stuff. I don't know what it really is. You probably do, but I don't know exactly what it is. But don't you
I would
think?
say about 70% of Bitcoin's use right now is quote unquote stored value, and then 30% is used for staking and used for collateral and
But I'm
transaction.
asking you honestly, with what you're looking at right now and the way technology advances in, record speed, do you actually think in 10 years this technology will even be in play? Honestly. The real let's go heart to heart. Real honest. You think that whatever they're doing right now is going to be anything of what's going to be going on in the future to transact money or do all of these banking transactions? I mean, come on. You got to think the United States government is going to have a way better way to do all of this stuff coming to a theater near you in the next 5 to 10 years. So that's what worries me most about this asset is that it could be 100% eradicated and done. And that, I mean, I know you say no way, whatever. I just think this is going to be antiquated. Everything is moving in warp speed. Like, why? This is what is Bitcoin really used for? I don't know. Like, they're saying, oh, it's doing banking transactions and you can move money and this and that. Don't you think there's going to be a better way?
Well,
Honestly.
right now it's Bitcoin is a one of one. It has scarcity, and uh, it, I don't know what you
Scarcity of
think.
what? Who needs
Computing is going
Bitcoin?
to
I
hack
don't need
into
what
Bitcoin.
scarcity? Time out. I don't ever need Bitcoin. I'm just telling you, and I never will. Okay. I know people out there is like, oh, he's naive. He's gonna listen. We had a guy who was at my club, okay, and literally this guy, this is going back 3 years ago. He told us within 2 years we wouldn't use credit cards or money. There would be no more money and no more credit cards. Every time we see this guy, we literally laugh in his face. Okay. So I don't know, Eric, when you say scarcity, scarcity of what? What do I need Bitcoin for? Why is it a scarcity factor? Like, I don't need it. You know that. And why do you need to use Bitcoin? I'm just wondering.
I don't need to use Bitcoin, not right now.
Well,
But
then why is there a scarcity factor?
the plan in listen, the Coinbase CEO came out. I mean, you have a lot of these people coming out in droves and saying we need we need to revamp an antiquated. You use the word antiquated financial system, and they want to use crypto for these transactions. I know personally people that work in a lot of these big banks. All of the big banks are trying to incorporate crypto into what they do for financial transactions. So for you to come and say what is it used for, a guy, some Joe Schmo who said we're all going to be using Bitcoin in 10 years. You guys are laughing
10
at him.
years.
Okay,
You
well,
said 2 years.
we'll give it another 10 years because all the financial institutions
Eric,
are
this
trying to
is
bring
gonna
in
listen.
crypto.
I'm going on record right now. This is an antiquated technology that is going to be definitely gone in 10 years, dude. This product.
Listen, you
Think
also
about
think
this.
AI is just Google. You also think AI is just Google, but come on, man, you know it's
No,
not.
I don't know what AI is. You have yet to explain to me how there's going to be trillions and trillions of dollars generated in AI, and the company that you're saying is at the forefront, the only thing they do is have a chat service to ask questions to. So tell me what it is that they're doing that is going to generate crazy revenue, and what's going on. Okay? I mean, I'm not saying in 5 years AI couldn't look different than it is today, but my question to you now is twofold. Okay, one, ChatGPT, okay, in its current form and what it's doing, how it can generate trillions, it has to generate hundreds of trillions in revenue. And I'm just not seeing that. And then when we get back to Bitcoin, okay, I think looking at technology, and listen, how long has Bitcoin been in existence for, Eric? 15 years? I mean, come on. And it's a technology that's using the same stuff from basically 15 years ago. It just seems antiquated in the world that we live in. I'm just
Notice, okay, 15 years later, there's no replacement for Bitcoin.
okay
So you
for the moment.
you're kind
For the
you're kind
moment.
of answering the
Dude,
question.
listen,
Right?
for the moment. I'm
Technology
just
has improved. Technology has
Let
improved
me
over
ask a
the
question.
last.
Why do you think people use Bitcoin? I'm
Whoa,
just trying
whoa,
to
whoa!
understand why you think why
Technology
would
improved over the last
what?
15 years? Has technology improved over the last 15 years?
Eric, this is a
Is there a
trading
replacement
this
for
is a
Bitcoin?
trading asset. You have never come on this podcast and explained to me why Bitcoin is trading at 85,000 and the next day it's trading at 90.
Nobody will explain it to you.
Why?
Nobody,
Right.
because you just believe in it, and that's it.
You just what?
You think it will. There will be a replacement for it, and
I
therefore
didn't
that's
say
it.
that. I'm asking you why today Bitcoin, just time out. Why is Bitcoin 85,000 today, and tomorrow it could be 90. What does that have to do with the banking system? What does that have to do with anything?
I
Like,
don't get the
come on.
question.
This is
I
just
really don't.
a trading asset that
But then so is
basically,
everything else. I don't understand why you even get into
why do you
that.
say everything else? Dude, the dollar doesn't fluctuate like that. That's the beauty of being in the US dollar. You know how much the dollar fluctuated for me today? Zero.
Zero.
A dollar
A
is a
dollar
dollar
is
no
a
matter
dollar.
what. No matter what. It's $1. My dollar hasn't changed. Now, if I leave the country and go somewhere else, yeah, there's a little fluctuation on a daily basis against other currencies, but my one US dollar is always a dollar. Why do I want to be in something that tomorrow could be half the value of? Why would I want to have, quote unquote, I'm not going to call it a currency, but something which we don't know what it is. Why do I want it to move 10% today? Why? Why do I want to own something that's going to move up and down 10% today that I'm looking to transact on? I'm running my business. I'm running a restaurant and I'm taking in Bitcoin. How do I hedge my risk and exposure if I'm taking in? None of these restaurants take Bitcoin, by the way. That was supposed to happen a couple of years ago. You're going to use Bitcoin in restaurants and this and that. But why, how, and why would a restaurant that has 10% margins or 12% margins takes a fluctuating coin that can move 10% in a day? I'm just trying to understand the logic. If your
That,
restaurant owned Bitcoin,
that is a valid question. You know, the
I'm just saying, but
volatility.
if your restaurant owned Bitcoin a month ago, you are incinerated. Your restaurant didn't go out of business because it didn't serve food. It went out of business because the currency that you're using went down by 30%. And that is the problem. And that's why it's
Yeah,
not
but
adaptive.
volatility, okay, that's okay, that's the big
Right.
one. Volatility. Okay.
But I'm
Let
just
me
saying, but how
hold on.
can that be
Okay, we're gonna
used?
go there, Larry. I don't know why we're diving so deep into this, but if you want to dive
Because I
that
think
deep,
it's a great topic. And I think
okay.
it talks
I don't think
about,
I think
I
we've
think
talked
it
about it
talks,
many times, but if
let
you
me
want to
talk.
go there, what about all the countries that have volatile currencies? How about Turkey? How
Do
about
you want to
Brazil?
live in any of those countries?
I
What
am
about Argentina?
used to
You
the
want to live in
USD.
devalued countries? Do you want to live in countries where diapers cost $1,000 for your
Dude,
baby?
you live in Florida, okay, but a lot of people don't live in the United States, and they look at this completely differently than you do.
Okay.
Okay, they're
Okay.
looking at
Tell me how
Bitcoin.
they're looking at it.
Actually, they're looking at Bitcoin and they're like, yeah, it's a little volatile, but you know what? I'll take that volatility versus my corrupt government.
Eric, it is a corrupt government that's buying the Bitcoin. I mean, are you out of your mind? These currencies, these countries are adapting a currency that cannot be tracked, okay? Or they believe it can be tracked, but they believe it can't be tracked. And you think right now, all these countries that have adapted this currency or whatever they call it are
No,
happy that they
um,
just lost
you started
37%
talking
of their
about
value?
volatility. You started talking about volatility in Bitcoin, and I'm equating other other stores of value fiat that are even more volatile sometimes. So I
Eric,
don't think it's
Eric,
valid
Eric, we're the
if you're
United
looking
States.
through the
I'm
lens of the
talking about, I don't
USD.
care. I don't care what Argentina or Colombia or any of these
Right,
broken
you don't care,
countries are
but the
doing.
people living in
I
Argentina.
actually want to stay away from that. You can buy that. You could think that's the reason why this is going to work because a bunch of drug dealing countries want to use the currency or use the product. That's good for you. And you think that they can't keep a stable currency, they can't keep their country afloat, but they're using Bitcoin. And you think that makes someone feel more comfortable? I would think that would make you feel a lot less comfortable that the worst actors in the world are using this to transact currency. They're taking their dude. Do you understand what's going on? And I mean, you're like saying, "Oh, it's great. These countries are adapt." There's not one real country that's adapted this. These are all countries that are third world that have
Right,
massive.
if I'm living in a third world country, okay, I would definitely want to own Bitcoin. Yeah,
Okay, okay,
so
whatever.
would you?
Okay, I don't know why. You just lost 30. Your country is destroyed in general. Now you took your unstable currency, which is getting even wrecked more because Bitcoin is going down, and you took a 37% hit in Bitcoin. I know you're doing great, dude. Your country, dude, I'm going to call it the Eric land Eric. Okay. Land Eric's doing great. Your currency is destroyed. And now the
Well,
product that you put your money in is down 37%. You're doing great, dude. I know it's like trading. You never lose, right? You think they're fine? Dude, look what's going on.
you've
Look
been
what's going
bearish
on
on
in Bitcoin. Just look
Bitcoin.
what's going on. Look what's going on. You don't think this is a mini crash? I'm just asking you what you think this
Hey,
is.
yeah, it was. So what? Now what do we do? Okay, we've covered this. And what's the
Now,
next?
what do? I'm going to tell you what you do. Since you're in touch with all your OGs and the new buyers, this is what you do. You ready? You pray. That's what you do. You pray. This is what you do. You don't open up your trading account, which you opened up every day when Bitcoin was going higher. You don't open your trading account anymore. It's like back in the day when the market went bad, you just wouldn't even open your account statement. You'd throw it in the garbage and pray. So right now, they're praying that it holds 80,000.
All
Okay?
right.
Hopefully,
You're an
hopefully
IBIT
it does.
for yourself. You're an IBIT, so you're gonna. I don't know.
I am
It's like you hate it, but you love
Eric,
it. I don't.
Eric, you're not getting it. I don't hate it. Okay. I'm trading it. I think that there is going to be a tradable bottom. Okay. I thought that bottom was going to be yesterday. Okay. That's why we bought the product. Okay. I'm not fully sure if yesterday's low is going to hold. So, anyone that's on here for the weak or faint of heart, and you don't want to take a little bit of a lower low here, then you can sell out the position. I'm not selling out the position because I have an option, and you know options. I've taught them to you. Okay. I have three. Yeah, you're shaking your head.
I
Okay.
agree.
Okay. So I'm
I give
telling
you
you
credit. I give you
the
true credit.
beauty of what we have is the most we could lose is $3. Okay. Bitcoin just went down 40,000 points, 45,000 points. Okay. The most we could lose is $3 on an option. So we're very defined on our risk. We're assuming that the market is going to hold here. It looks to me, unfortunately, like we're going to maybe make a lower low into the 75 area, 78 area. But if you don't want to take that lower low, okay, then you can dish the trade. I think, in the next 3 months, we're going to be higher than we are today. Okay. But we may go lower first. So I'm not sure. But is like, all I'm saying to you is the amount of disrespect in crypto for price action is something that I've never seen. It's something I've never seen in all my trading. I mean, I stood on the floor during the
It's
19.
unique to crypto. I think it's part of the. It's part of the culture also to kind
Eric,
of this.
crypto isn't crypto of old. Okay, crypto is now institutionally owned through 5,000 ETFs. Okay, all over the board, double leveraged ETFs, all over the board. This is an institutionally owned asset. This was never owned by institutions ever. It was actually forbidden to be owned. So this is a different asset. You got mom and pop. You got everyone in this. Okay, you got your 1 to 8 lot guys who I don't know who they are. Okay. And you got these guys are destroyed. They're destroyed. Okay. Back in a crypto winter, they had big moves like this. They had during COVID a 70% down move. Okay. But the owners of the coin were scarce. Okay. They were scarce. Okay. It wasn't now. Everyone owns this. Every single person in their retail account or their institutional account owns some Bitcoin. Everyone. There is not anyone that's out of this picture. Every broker has an asset allocation to Bitcoin, whether it's 1%, 10%, 20%. So when you ask what the difference is, that's the difference. The difference is it's institutionally owned right now by everyone that you know. Everyone that I know that I play pickleball with, that I hang out with, owns Bitcoin. They own it. They didn't own it 5 years ago or 3 years ago. They own it today. So when you ask what's the difference and they can handle it, it's a different buyer. It's a different owner. This is a institutional retail type owner that can't handle. Dude, you know the stock market. If we went down 10%, this place would be a morgue. It would be a morgue. Okay? You know that. They're freaking out down 3%. You know that. Listen, I have an ETF, WZRD. When it moves $1, people are freaking out. I don't know why. They can watch Nvidia go down 9 today, but if my stock moves $1, they freak out. Why is that? Paper
That's a good.
tiger?
That's a good question.
Oh, that's fact. That's fact. But somehow they can handle an $8 move in Nvidia. You know why? Do you want to know why?
Yeah, I would
Because
love to
they
know.
because they think it's going to come back. They think it's coming back. They think
That's a
it's
good
going to 220. They
point.
don't care. Okay. But all of a sudden, when it's 155, they come under the Bitcoin realization that it's not going to happen. Right. So, anyway, we got sidetracked a little.
A lot.
Um,
We got
you know,
sidetracked.
we
Yeah,
got sidetracked a little.
a lot. A
Your
lot.
bond trade is about 4% on the 10-year. I don't know if you're in it still, what you're looking for. The
I am
30
definitely.
is
In
The
fact,
30-year is 461. I'm actually going to short some bonds here up against the, but I'm not selling bonds. I'm going to do 10 years. I'm going to sell the 399 area on the 10-year for a trade. Dollar euro not moving back to 115 and a half. The trade I like that is right in my wheelhouse, and keep an eye on your inbox, but we're going to be buying crude oil again, basically close to the opening. Crude is down another $1.30. I mean, it's very, very low, very cheap. I mean, it could
you know,
go
you
lower, but I like
like
the
to
area.
uh, you like to talk about correlation a lot, and you mentioned interest rates. One correlation I'm seeing, I could pull up a chart before we go, but the correlation with rates and the S&P 500 has been very negative ever since the Fed meeting. And I'm going to share that chart. Here you go. The circle here, that's your last Fed meeting. Powell comes out, says December meeting is live. Don't bank on a rate cut. Interest rates start to go up. S&P starts to go down. Here you have over the last 3 days, interest rates start to go down and the market is down too. So now you have that correlation flip from negative to positive. So one of these is going to go, one of these is going to break, I think. Um, it kind of looks like it could be the S&P if this trend in rate cut expectations for December continue. So I think that's an interesting one.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We're close to the opening. Buying crude oil today. Um, as far as as far as the straddle or the iron condor, it looks okay, but listen. Every time it looks okay, you have to sweat it. So be careful out there. And we'll be back to everyone tomorrow with more update and you know keep an eye on the 81,000 level in Bitcoin. If it happens to get there, see if it holds. That's probably, a line in the sand for the moment. And, obviously we're nowhere near that. We're at 86.9, but, it's about 5% away. But listen, I hope the thing holds here. We'll see. Anyway, enjoy. Peace. Have a good day.